Hello and welcome along to the Irish headquarters of the Racing Post here in Dublin for our weekend racing preview in association with Ladbrokes. We'll be here every single Friday to guide you through the weekend action. I'm David Jennings from the Racing Post and I'm delighted to be joined by the Queen of Ladbrokes, Miss Hayley O'Connor.
How are you?
I'm great. And by the King of Unlucky Dating, Mr. Brendan Duke.
Cold but fair, David. Yes.
Yeah,
Might change after this weekend.
Well, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, more to follow later. So before we get stuck into what an unbelievable weekend of action we have with the St. Ledger at Doncaster, we're going to have our controversial quickfire questions for the panel. So the first one is to you, Miss Hayley O'Connor, and it is, and I know for a fact you do make a great Sunday roast. And your question is,
How do you know that?
Because you cooked for me once.
Oh yeah, and you had a Sunday roast and you had a kiss, but not from me, from the girl I was living with. Who goes for Sunday lunch and ends up scoring something anyway?
Hayley does make a very good Sunday roast. And the question here is, sent in by one of our listeners, who would make up your dream dinner party? So you've got 4 seats at that little square table of yours. Well, it's big enough. It can extend. But there's only 4 seats this time for your Sunday roast. Who would be your dinner party?
Well, I'm totally obsessed with Roger Federer. And he's a real giggler as well, but has been like seriously gorgeous. I love John Frankham and I think he's really, really good in company. I really like that Guy Marsh's Stormzy, who you have no clue who he is. Very good musician. And Aidan O'Brien, because he's just fascinating, I think. Aidan O'Brien? Yeah. And like they'd kind of balance each other out.
Yeah, I'd say Aidan and Stormzy now would be best buds after that. Okay, that's an interesting dinner party lineup for Hayley O'Connor. Brendan Duke, your question is, if you could go out on a date, and you have been on many dates, if you could go on a date with any woman in racing, who would it be?
Well, you make a fair point about my experience, David. And in my experience, dating is a numbers game, so can I have 2?
You can have 2.
Okay, first up, I'll go for Sheila Lavery.
Sheila Lavery?
Sheila Lavery for the information. Because in fairness, when that yard puts the money down, they don't miss too often, do they? So, yeah. And my second date would be with Miss Lizzie Kelly.
Ooh.
Okay, do you want to elaborate now?
Well, she just seems like a friendly girl.
Okay, there we go. Lizzie Kelly and Brendan Duke. Now, there is a wedding that I would love to go to.
I'd love to go to
Yeah,
that.
we'll go. I'll bring you, Hayley. Okay, so we're going to get stuck into the racing action at the weekend. And of course, it's the St. Ledger at Doncaster. It's the last classic of the season. And we all want to end the season on a high. We want to back the last classic winner. Hayley O'Connor, 3:35 Doncaster. What are your thoughts on the St. Ledger?
Well, I actually love this race. I know some people don't have massive amount of respect for it, but it's a really good race. And when we sponsored, I remember going out at like 5:30 in the morning, walking the track with the guys that run it, and it's actually a really beautiful track. So anyway, but it's not been a great race for favourite backers. The last winner was 22-1, I think, and then the winner previous 8-1.
Yeah.
So having said that, I'm going to stick with Capri, and I can't understand why there's such little difference between Capri, who's like a tried and tested Group 1 performer, you know, 3rd in the Criterion last year, Irish Derby winner, didn't handle the track in Epsom, and Crystal Ocean, who's like a Group 3 at best at the moment. He's like 7-2. Capri is 130 at the moment, and the likes of Defoe, who's gone from like a rating of 88 to 112, they're just blah for me. So I'm going to go for Capri, and if I had to have an each favourite, it would be the horse that beat Big Orange called Stradivarius.
Brendan Duke, Capri has beaten Cracksman. None other than Tom Siegel in the Racing Post fancies Cracksman to win the Arc.
Yes.
Capri has beaten him, he's an Irish Derby winner.
Yes.
He wins the St. Ledger, doesn't he?
I think on balance he certainly deserves to be favoured. I'd just be careful with that Cracksman line, because the Cracksman that Tom Siegel is tipping for the Arc is a very different beast to the one that got beaten at the Curragh at the end of June. Having said that, it's strong form. He not only beat Cracksman, he beat the Epsom Derby winner. He looks like he's made for this trip. He wants cutting the ground. He's a worthy fav. I couldn't narrow the race down to 2 or 3. I was giving 4 or 5 a chance. So I wouldn't be strong on him, but if I was having a bet, it'd be Capri.
Okay, I'm strong on Capri. I think he's a class horse in the race. He's the horse to beat on ratings. He has his ground. He's been laid out for the race. What more do you want? So that's the St. Ledger, 3:35. At 2:25, we've got the Park Stakes. A really interesting renewal this year. Hayley, your thoughts on the race?
Yeah, so I because I'm been unadventurous in the St. Ledger, I tried to have some sort of angle here. So I kind of looked at Spirit of Valour, who was second in the Jersey Stakes, won the Minstrel Stakes. But just my only hesitation, he bombed in the Lennox, and the other thing is the headgear maybe isn't having the same effect as it once did, so that's putting me off there. Brendan Rock, last year's winner, he's carrying a penalty, so I'm going to have to go for Acclaim, who just didn't get the spaces that he needed in Goodwood, so I think he's a solid market leader.
I think you could be right, Hayley. Acclaim, Brendan, won twice last autumn and has been gradually progressive. Poor start to the season, has just gradually been getting better. Unlucky in the Lennox, and then went on, just beaten by Brando in France. Little stepping stones towards victory in the Park Stakes, I put it to you.
Well, it's hard to get away from him. I think he actually rattled up a hat-trick at the end of last season, and coming off a career best effort, as you say, a worthy fav, Dave.
So we have 3 votes for Capri and 3 votes for Acclaim.
Can I just say though that we've been tipping up favourites so far, but last week we did get a serious confidence behind Verbal Dexterity from your good self. I think you gave another winner that day as well, did you?
Oh yes, Happily.
Yes.
Good old Happily. Yes,
Yeah.
That was a good day. That was a good day.
It's a pretty much normal service for Mr. Brendan Duke. And the other group race on the Doncaster card is the Champagne Stakes. And Brendan Duke, I'm going to start with you.
Okay,
That means that you give your selection?
Indeed, David, apologies. I was very impressed with Dream Today in the Convivial Maiden, winning it on debut. And as befits a 70 grand maiden, the form is working out really well with the variant horse Laugh a Minute going in the sales race on Thursday. And interestingly, with this horse, it'd be different ground, it'd be softer ground, but he's really bred to enjoy it. His full brother, Alru Kerr, put up a career best on his last run in the Prix Jacques Le Marois. And his other 2 siblings, a half-brother and a half-sister, I think, both put up their best RPRs on ground softer than good. So should enjoy the ground, should improve for the run. I thought he'd be hard to beat.
Brendan, do me a favour. I got a shiver up my spine there. Say the name of that French race again.
The Prix Jacques Le Marois.
Oh, that's made me all giddy, Hayley. Does that do it for you?
It does it for me.
Yeah. If you just spoke French on all your dates, you'd be a married man with 4 happy kids now.
Indeed, that pesky English, yeah.
Hayley O'Connor, I'm sure you can't pronounce French races like Brendan Duke, but you can pick winners. So what wins the Champagne Stakes?
Well, one horse that just sort of jumped out at me was a horse that they paid 3 million for. He's a half-brother to Mischief, and his name is Mendelssohn, who is famous for his song Wedding March, which you might be listening to very soon, I would suspect. But anyway, I think he needed his first run, and he was so impressive and so professional on his next run, and I think he's only going to take a massive step forward.
Can we name it again?
Mendelssohn.
Mendelssohn for Hayley O'Connor. And I like Red Mist from the Simon Christopher Yard. I think that's a progressive horse going places. Now, Brendan Duke, you were up all night last night. I know you were studying the form for Saturday's racing. Do you like anything else at Doncaster, first of all?
In the 4:45, I thought Sinfonietta was interesting. This horse put up a really good effort, first run this season, over course and distance, in fact, finishing second. The rest of the season hasn't gone that well, but the stable was under a cloud. Came back to finish third in the Irish Cambridgeshire the other day, and a repeat of that effort with Finley Marsh taking off a handy £5, probably be enough tomorrow.
We've also got ITV action at Chester. Anything tickle your fancy?
The 3:10, I thought Instant Attraction was the play here. It's a very interesting race. The top of the market is likely to be dominated by horses who've gone up between £9 and £13 for the last run. This horse is going the other way. He was a 100 rated horse. He's now down to mid-80s. So hopefully the handicapper has his way. His run the last day, a few days ago in fact, suggested that he was ready to strike. I think tomorrow could be the day.
And we're proud Irishmen. There's 2 Irish meetings. We've got Listowel, the final day of the marathon. I think everybody will arrive drunk through the turnstiles into Listowel, those that are still standing. And we've also got Gorham Park. Anything at those 2 Irish meetings? I
thought there was an interesting horse in Gorham, all right, in the 3:15. The horse's name, apology, is Gymkhana.
Yes.
Now, I briefly forgot.
Yes. Interesting 4 figures.
Yes, well, I briefly forgot Gymkhana. It was interesting. So you may remember him from his romp at the end of March in Naas.
I certainly do.
Which was
Who's he by?
I'm not sure. Okay. He was a French horse.
Hayley, stop asking questions we don't know the answers to, okay?
But Gerlines had him for his first run in Naas, where he absolutely bolted up on deep ground. Looked a horse really going places. The rest of the season has gone Pete Tong. He has since left Gerlines to go to Jessica Harrington, been gelded in the interim, and interestingly hasn't run since June. So we know he goes well fresh. We know he handles deep ground. He's got a big class edge here. He's £5 clear at the top of the weights. If this horse shows up in the form form he was at the start of the season, it's good night for the opposition.
Brendan Duke, you've convinced me. Hayley O'Connor, can you make a case as compelling as that for your fancy?
No, absolutely not. In Chester, there's a horse in the first, Show Palace, who Franny Norton is riding him. He's drawn in stall 2. The tissue says he's going to be about 10-1, and that looks very big for me. He's super consistent, so I'll be having a little wager on him. In Goran Park, Meagher's Flag from Jim Bulger's yard. He's been bridesmaid twice on his 2 starts, but one of those is at Goran, so he knows the track. He's been knocking on the door, and I'm hoping it'll be third time lucky for him.
Okie doke. So
and the other horse, actually, in the stole, Manila Bow, didn't back him in Galway, we talked about him. But
Willie Mullins, the Me family, Manila Bow, that is a Galway Festival winner. Now, before we reveal our best Saturday bets, big match Sunday, Dublin or Mayo. Brendan Duke?
I would like to see Mayo win.
Okay, but you're from Dublin.
Yes, but Mayo have suffered, is it 60 years of hurt at this stage?
Yeah,
so, I mean, I'm from Dublin, but I'm a sportsman to my bootstraps, David, and I hope they have their day in the sun tomorrow.
Okay, Hayley O'Connor, proud Dublin woman, Dublin or Mayo?
proud but not greedy, so let's see it for the West.
Oh my God. Jim Gavin won't be happy with you two. So there we go, folks. That's their thoughts on the match. I think they're both going to be wrong. Dublin are going to win the All-Ireland 3 in a row for Jim Gavin's men. So finally, all that's left to be revealed is our best bets of Saturday. So Brendan Duke, we're going to start with you. Your best Saturday bet is?
Dream Today in the Champagne Stakes at Doncaster.
Dream Today for Brendan Duke. Miss Hayley O'Connor, your best Saturday bet?
Do a double with Capri and Mendelssohn.
Okay, that's a big price. Capri and Mendelssohn
About
in a
50 to
double.
1.
50 to 1. You will have a great day if both of them wins.
Yeah, I
My
will.
God, the drinks will be on you. And my best bet for Saturday is a really obscure one. It's from left field. It's called Eller Brook in the first race at Musselburgh. Trained by Michael Dodds, ridden by Paul Mulrennan. First time in the nursery. I think it's really well handicapped filly, off a mark of 60 in the first race at Musselburgh. So that's it from me, folks. I've been David Jennings from the Racing Post. She's been Hayley O'Connor from Ladbrokes. This has been the racing expert, Brendan Duke. We're going to be here every single Friday to preview your weekend action. So don't forget to join us.